there's people that I pay attention to with like a lot of the Norse stuff, and there's connections that they're not able to make because they are under this presumption of the way things originate. And a lot of this is problematic because of the assumption about things like Latin coming from Greek, when I'm showing that it doesn't. The idea that attribution comes from Greek, and I'm showing that it doesn't. And so what I wanted to broach is when you, like, the whole reason that we're under the presumption that the Phoenicians, or whatever you want to call them, come from the East, all this is coming from the East, is because it has to, in order for Mosaic history to be true. How many times have you heard people talk about Canaanites, right? But in my book, I show you the etymology of Cana, and pertaining to the world, the stars and the zodiac, right? Like there's all these things they had to name that area Israel in order to conform to the Mosaic history, even though Israel is a Phoenician, per Porphyry admission that that's what the Phoenicians called Saturn. Egypt was never called Egypt. They had to reassign this stuff. So the problem that scholars have is they're still under the hex of Mosaic history and all this religious nonsense that's preventing them from thinking differently. And that's why I'm very grateful to all these other peoples, like the Taylors, the Higgins, all these people who they didn't get everything like as far deep as we are, because they didn't have access to the internet to share pictures all across the world to put it together. They still had to rely on accounts and whatnot. But one of the things I wanted to broach off the get-go is because I did this with
Let me
Gardner.
make a quick observation too.
Yeah. Do it all.
You brought up the whole Canaanites thing and coming from the East. Well, in the time period of around 200 BC, you have the Han dynasty in China in the East, which is back to that H to C. That's Can,
it's like a priest dynasty. Cohen.
Yeah.
I never even thought about that before, but that's what I like about this, is when you teach this stuff out, it's a system and everybody sees stuff that you wouldn't have seen. And so the more people you have raising their knowledge to this level and looking at things, the more that we will just blow the gates open. That is my goal, right?